Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Vocaloid 5 editor tutorial. This is going to be part 2 of I don't know how many parts, but let's get right into it. As you can see on the bottom, we have the attack effect and the release effect. Right now there's nothing there because we have no notes on the keyboard. However, if we right click, select our pencil tool, and drag out a note, all these options appear. The attack and release effect have 4 sections each: pitch, dynamics, tone, and ornamentation. On the side of each of these is a knob that controls how soft or hard the effect is used. I'm going to go through each of the attack effects and release effects and kind of show you how it all works, so stick around. A quick note before we start. The attack effect controls the beginning and to the middle of a particular note. The release effect controls the middle and the end of the note. For example, if we select this Anka Style, the most we can drag this out, since this is 2 bars, is to here. And you'll see it only gets dragged to a certain point. It will never go past the halfway point. For these first parts, I will actually have to split this note in half. Let's take our scissor tool from here and cut that like so. Right click and reselect the pencil tool. You can also select these tools by right clicking or going up here into these 3 options. Let's take this note and bring it down a few semitones by simply hitting the down arrow. Now we can begin. In order to get the best examples out of this, I'm going to be mostly focusing on the second note here. The first note shall be only tampered with slightly. Anyway, let's continue. First is the down pitch. As you can see, the pitch has changed a bit. When we listen to this, this is what it's going to sound like. Not too drastic of a change, but of course we can bring this up to make it more drastic. This is what it'll sound like when it's all the way up. And also, like before, we can hit Alt and drag this out to the center. Alright, let's move on. Now we're going to down 2. As you can tell, unlike the down 1, it's slightly more exaggerated. The pitch starts here and goes down. If we once again drag this out, like so, we'll hear this. If we bring this all the way up, it will sound like this. On to our next parameter, down 3. This is just the default. If we take this now and drag it all the way out, it'll sound like this. This simply elongates the effect. Now if we take this wheel, turn it all the way up, it will be very drastic. As you can see, the pitch goes up by at least an octave or more. Let's take a listen. Time to bring it back to the Anka Style I was talking about earlier. The Anka Style is used to create a small section where the pitch starts 2 notes lower and rises up to the desired note before falling back down to that 2 semitone note below. Let's take a listen, shall we? It's very nice. I use this quite a lot in my productions. Once again, let's elongate it. If the note is shorter and you drag it out, it can cross the halfway point of the note. but if the note is much longer, it probably won't. If you take the knob, bring it up, it'll bring it up to the next note. You can also hit Alt, find that space where it is, and drag it back as well, as short as you would like. It's almost unnoticeable because of how fast it is. However, it can be used to create a quicker pitch bend or pitch drop. It's very nice. I use it a lot. On to the next one, the pitch up. For this next part, we're going to have to take this note and bring it above our stationary note. If you want to bring this up an octave, hit Shift and up. It will bring it up an entire octave. That is 12 semitones. Let's take a listen now. Now, let's move on to the Upbend. Drag it out. And bring it all the way. This knob in particular, these knobs can be used to create a more human effect by making it so the pitch is not perfect. Gives it a little bit of that flaw, and I think that can really help bring out the vocals and make it sound more human. Let's move on. Up 2. This is what it sounds like. Dragged out. Knob up. Up 4. Dragged out. Knob up. Up 4. Dragged out. Knob up. And finally, up 5. Dragged out. Knob up. As you can tell, especially with these last 5, that the pitch became more and more drastic as a default for each one. It was slight here, a little more here, a bit more here, much more here, and extreme over here. These were just set as default. You can play around with these and make whatever adjustments you like to give it the desired sound effect. That concludes the pitch section of the attack. Moving on to dynamics. Accent 1. Dragged out. Knob up. Accent 2. Dragged out. Knob up. Accent 3. Dragged out. Knob up. Crescendo 1. Dragged out. Knob up. Crescendo 2. Dragged out. Knob up. Double accent 1. Dragged out. Knob up. Dragged out. Dragged out. Knob up. Lastly, double accent 3. Dragged out. Knob up. That concludes the dynamic section of the attack effect. On to the tone. Airy. Dragged out. Knob up. Airy 2. Dragged out. Knob up. Clear. Knob up. Growl 1. Dragged out. Knob up. Growl 2. Dragged out. Knob up. Growl 3. Dragged out. Knob up. Growl 4. Dragged out. Knob up. Narrowed. Knob up. For this next one, it's best to select the sound O, open to closed. Dragged out. Knob up. Opened. Dragged out. Knob up. Lastly, wow. Dragged out. Knob up. That concludes the tone of the attack effect. On to ornamentation. Catty. Dragged out. Knob up. Fleggy. Dragged out. Knob up. Foxy. Dragged out. Knob up. Piggy. Dragged out. Knob up. Trill, which is best used for R sounds, or T sounds. Dragged out. Knob up. Vocal fry, which is best used for vowels only. Consonants should not be placed in front of this. Knob up. Fry soft. Knob up. Fry medium. Knob up. That will conclude our video for today. Tomorrow I will be going in detail through the release effect tutorial. See you then.